guys, it's me, Gayle MacBride. I'm one half of Veritas Views, Am I the Asshole Edition. I am here to let you know, guys, we're not going to be those assholes, I promise. We are going on a season break, but assholes would give you the best of. Not assholes are going to give you the least loved episodes. These are episodes we think you might have missed. They're little gems. So just heads up, you're going to hear one of those today. It might be one that you missed. Give it a listen. Let us know what you think. Season 1 has ended on episode 44. We're going to be back in 2025 with some new ideas and new concepts and a whole new season. So join us again after 5 encore episodes and have a wonderful 2025. Michael, tell us what today's episode is all about.
Our fourth encore episode is episode 12, which is Am I an Asshole for Refusing to Take Down a Photo that has my son's dead name on it? If you didn't listen to it before, we hope you enjoy it. If you're listening to it again, same thing. I think you'll enjoy it the second time around as well. But either way, drop us a message in the mailbag, ask us a question, tell us something we missed. Maybe just give us what your ruling is about who's the asshole here. And we'll see you in 2025.
Well, hey there. You've stumbled upon the intersection of internet quandaries and psychological insight. Welcome to Veritas Views on AITA, where the quirks of the internet meet the expertise of Veritas Psychology Partners.
Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Michael MacBride, and I'm joined by our dynamic duo of psychologists.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gayle MacBride, and I'm really excited to be here today because this is actually something I look forward to every week. I'm joined today by Dr. Daniel Kessler, whose intellect is only matched by his wit.
Hi there, Dr. McBride, Michael. How are you today? And I'm ready to roll. I'm really looking forward to this as well.
Cool. Well, welcome both of you. For the newbies out there, if you don't know what Am I the Asshole is, in short, someone posts a scenario and asks readers, who's the asshole here? And that's what we're going to help determine. And if you're new, you should also know that we always have a bonus conversation at the end of the credits. So stick around for that. But right now, neither Gayle nor Dan have read this prompt or seen this before. So let's go. Today's prompt is, am I the asshole for refusing to take down a picture that has my son's dead name? So this one has lots of layers to it, like an onion. I'm really looking forward to see what you guys do with it. Okay, so I'll read the whole thing here, which isn't super long.
Sometimes we're like, oh yeah, or no. And this one, I'm like, I want to hear more.
I need to hear more. Yeah.
Hear more because obviously we don't want to use people's dead names, but at the same time, I want to hear more.
Yeah.
So I, 42-year-old female, have a son, Ben, 19, with my husband, Tom. Ben was born a girl and realized by the age of 16 that he wanted to transition. Myself and Tom were not initially supportive, and I took longer to come around and only did so after my husband Tom passed in an accident. Then I realized how distant my relationship with Ben was. When Ben was born, Tom got a tattoo of our then daughter's name on his arm, and we have a lovely picture together of me, Tom, and Ben at a few months old at the beach where Tom's tattoo is visible. Ben doesn't like me to keep pictures up of him in the past when he was a kid or older and still female presenting. So I only have pictures of either him as a toddler or as an adult now. The only picture that I have not agreed to take down is the one of us at the beach. I really like that one. And Ben's only issue is that the tattoo shows his dead name. But for me, it's one of the happiest memories, and I don't want to take it down. Ben is very upset about me keeping the picture up and says I'm being cruel as it reminds him of his dead name. Tom passed when Ben was still, this is clarification, I guess. Tom passed when Ben was still female presenting. So the only photo I have is of us three that Ben likes is the one at the beach where he's wearing a younger gender neutral outfit. Also, the photo is in a private place of the house near my bedroom, which is the only place where I see it, and no other house guest would unless they came into my room. So am I the asshole for keeping this picture of my dead husband and my son's dead name up on the wall.
Wow.
Yeah, so often there's complexity to this. On the surface of it, let's always respect what someone wants to be called. This is a tough one.
I completely agree, and I think that's just it. Is this writer has been really thoughtful in terms of where this name is appearing, and in making sure in every other way to be supportive of her son, which is fantastic. And yet there's still one sticking point. Now, of course, if these individuals were in our office, we'd definitely be having a conversation about what that's like for Ben to have even one reminder, and and what his thoughts are about this, as well as exploring the connection the mom has to this photo that contains this name. I think that is really important. I do think that there is an interesting, I really do struggle with solution, and just really finding a solution here. You might know this about me.
I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
I don't want.
Please. I sometimes, even
Is that
therapists
okay?
need to be reined in. Please do reined in on our solution focus.
Jump in and
Yeah.
just I think the toughest issues for us to address when we're working with families and couples are those issues where I don't know that anyone on the face of it is wrong. I think mom here really wants to respect her son's wishes, and at the same time has lost someone I presume she loves very much, and clearly at an age that was younger than expected, and she wants to remember him and them as a family. So I can see where she feels that way, and I can also see where Ben would feel like, gosh, this is such a reminder of a time in my life that was so painful. I can absolutely see where both of them have good reason for feeling the way they're feeling.
Absolutely. I think they're, in some ways, they're both right.
Yeah. So that's a tough one. I mean, it's certainly, if they were in my office, I would really want to spend some time exploring feelings around this. Whether mom and son have gotten entrenched in, this is what it has to be, or it should be, or and whether they can find some way of resolving this so that both of them, not that they're compromising and both of them are giving in, but of solving it so both of them feel happy about what's happened.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's something here in terms of Ben's relationship with his deceased father. In terms of this family photo, because Ben was female presenting for the duration of his father's life, that may also warrant a more thoughtful kind of conversation too. Because I mean, obviously Ben is a part of this family unit and is represented in this photo in his female toddlerhood. I think that I think it's interesting that the writer says that Ben had it sounds like a better relationship with dad in some ways prior to his death. And so, there's this dynamic here of someone who's not with us anymore represented in that picture, that I'm sure he has thoughts about and feelings.
Yeah. I can also see where, if I remember correctly, dad had not been accepting. So this becomes, Michael's nodding. Excellent.
Yeah. I thought Ben was.
Sorry. You're right. She said in the clarifying thing that they weren't really supportive initially. And it was after her husband passed that then they reconnecting. Yeah.
But I thought dad was accepting before mom. No?
Did I
misunderstand that?
I'll go back and reread, but I don't think so.
Let us know.
That might change some of the conversation.
I was calling out Michael's nodding for those who are not watching us on YouTube. No, I mean, this is, I could totally see if that name represents the father's non-acceptance.
Yeah.
That would be further hurt. This, I hate to go all Princess Bride on us here, but I clearly can't.
Oh, please.
I clearly can't choose the wine in front of me. Is how I feel about this, because I really can see both perspectives on this as being meaningful and have such like emotion tied to them.
Yeah.
Let me jump in really quick and say, so the post does say the mom took the longest to come around. So it does sound like the father was at least at some point, it doesn't specify how long before he passed, supportive of the son's transition and adopting the new name. So
Okay.
And it sounds like the son is maybe more fully transitioned since the father's death, because I mean, we're talking about kind of a 3-year timeline here. I think, Ben was 16 at the time and now 19. So anyway, but I mean, I think it further just kind of says we need to have a conversation with Ben around his relationship with his father and what that was like, and how that acceptance kind of came to be, and maybe that initial reluctance on his parents' part, on both of their parts, and then to see that represented in this beach photo.
One of
You have any feelings about it?
Yeah, one of my experience has been when couples or families start getting together and having those deeper conversations in a therapy office, and I hate to sound like I'm like plugging for therapy, but this is what I do for a living, right?
Right.
But sometimes as people begin exploring these things in the therapy office, they come to a resolution themselves because what we're doing is helping them to hear each other more. And I sense this sense of entrenchedness here that could really benefit from just exploring together how the feelings are within that non-judgmental kind of an atmosphere.
One of the techniques that I really like for these kinds of dynamics is that Gottman technique, where you have each person outline a really narrow set of inflexible ideals, dreams, whatever, right? It's just as narrow as you can make it, that you are absolutely unwilling to compromise on. And then in the outer circle, listing everything else in the scenario that you could compromise on, and allowing them to look at those areas of non-flexibility and everything that's flexible. I mean, one, it helps individuals see that actually there's more area of flexibility and ability to compromise than there are inflexibility. And that tends to increase liking and respect for the other person, because, when we start seeing the other person in the argument as being wrong, we tend to see them as being incredibly inflexible, and we're the one that's making all the compromise, and we have all of these misattributions. So one, I think it's an exercise in saying, no, my dyad partner absolutely has a lot of flexibility, and I can see those areas now. But also it really says, this is what is my pain point. This is what I treasure the most. I really need this to be accounted for in the solution. And as much as I might want to jump to a solution, I think, that doesn't represent their solution. They may have a very different solution. So I like that technique a lot.
No, I agree. And I really do like it. If I have confidence about anything, I have confidence that if these folks were to sit down and really work at hearing each other's perspectives, they'd come to some resolution. I don't know what that resolution would be, by the way.
Yeah.
I can think of a number of different possible solutions that might not leave people feeling like I've given in and they've given in equally, but more like leaving both mom and son feeling like I was respected, and we came to a decision as a family about what to do about this family picture. I don't know what that solution would be, and as a therapist, I would be kind of agnostic to that. Like whatever solution they came to is their solution to come to, and I just maybe I'm overly confident, but I think that if these folks sat down, they would probably come to something if they were able to hear each other. And maybe I don't think the internet's necessarily. I don't know if the internet will agree with that. That's kind of my sense of it. Just having worked with a bunch of folks who are in very different spots.
Well, I think when you go through something as really formative and impactful as a child's transition from one gender presentation to another, I think you have gained a lot of wisdom and skills, hopefully, along the way, and a lot of compassion for each other. So I'm hopeful that this family could do that again. But I think you're right, it would be a solution unique unto themselves.
Yeah. Now, you said you had a solution earlier. Can we go back to that?
Yeah, thank you. I honestly, if this were my child and they wanted to be represented as a family photo, but the sticking point is the name, the tattoo on the image, we can airbrush that. We can just take that off of dad.
I think the kids say Photoshop now.
Thank you. All right. So I'm old app. That's fine. But regardless of
Just
the age
putting
of
it
the
out there.
photo, the point is like we just have such digital abilities to make that look flawless and seamless. Now, my worry or concern about that as a potential solution is then that disrespects dad's body. Dad chose to put,
Right.
in
Right.
ink this name on his body. But it may be that as the son transitioned, that he would have then modified that tattoo to be more reflective of, Ben's current name versus Ben's dead name.
Yeah.
So,
In my fantasy about how this turns out,
mhm.
like the dad, doesn't die, and the mom keeps the photo up, and like dad has the tattoo altered on his arm to be
Yeah,
Sick Ben instead of whatever it did before, or and
right.
and then they go together and they like Photoshop it together as part of like this family project, and it becomes this like
Absolutely.
warm, squishy, like, oh look.
Mhm.
But also means that like dad's alive in this. So I've like resurrected father for this fantasy of how this comes out, which obviously is going to happen. Um,
Right.
but it's I
But
So
given that father can't be alive, then I think this is the next step. Because I do think then that would have been a family conversation. If dad had lived, then Ben would say, you still have this ink on your body, and that feels disrespectful to who I am now. I imagine that would be a hurdle that this family would have to have overcome. Given that dad is not with us, then we still have that hurdle to overcome in some
yeah,
way. And this may be the most respectful way to do it.
yeah.
That would be my solution.
And
Again, mine.
I imagine a much lower tech solution with mom like sticking it like a sticky note or something, or a stick on circle or something on the frame. But I don't know.
Ab- Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That could have been an instant solution. We worked with a guy once. What can we do by next Tuesday? Like that would have been, doable by next Tuesday kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I like that as a temporary solution to what's happening because we don't
Mhm.
want to get rid of this very precious family photo and this
Yeah.
incredibly important family
I think
memory.
I think as therapists, the toughest part of this would be or the toughest part for me would be to avoid jumping in with some solutions and just spending the time with them exploring
Yeah.
and hoping that they come to a resolution without my suggesting anything. Because
That's absolutely the feeling I had in this conversation
tempting.
today. I mean, it was parallel
Yeah,
to that. I mean, I was aware that I wanted the solution, but yeah, as therapists, that's not what you want to come out with for your clients. You need them to come to it. And then if they're absolutely at a standstill, still sometimes we can gently offer a couple of ideas and just to get the ball rolling and ask them to generate some more ideas.
right,
And that sometimes is helpful too, because
right.
people can get really stuck in their way of thinking and not see options. And I've had people go, oh my gosh, like that is so elegant and simple. That's exactly what I needed. Thank you. And you just kind of shake it loose for them. So, Michael, I think you were going to say something, and we're just happily talking over you.
no, that's fine. I just wanted to come in and say it was interesting. The tattoo removal in the image was one of the suggestions the internet came up with, and often the topics I choose, I try to find one that kind of has like a more of a lighthearted aspect to it because I enjoy kind of the humor that goes with it. But then something like this just really grabbed me, and I have to say, like, it's one of the moments where the internet didn't disappoint me. Like, people actually really respectfully engaged in the conversation. You saw there was a lot of people from the trans community that came out and responded as well.
Yeah,
What were
yeah.
you gonna say? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna. I didn't want to hear what the internet. I didn't know if you were gonna jump in with what the internet said yet. So
Okay.
I was.
I'll hold off until you officially say what you think. But I was gonna say the tattoo thing came up, and the comment was, even if dad, we don't know if dad changed his tattoo because there were at least some overlap in there where dad accepted
Right.
Ben and his transition, his new name. And so maybe he actually did change it. It still wouldn't have changed it in the photo. But you
Oh,
could go back and, like you said, airbrush, Photoshop. Heck, you could even
shut
ask
up.
Reddit to fix this for me, like they often do with
Oh,
images.
I had Reddit fix a picture of my kids surfing with a whole bunch of people surfing in the background. It took like half an hour, and
That's
someone fixed it
amazing.
for me. I posted it.
I'm
Wow.
so old school. I didn't even think about doing that. Wow.
So
Okay.
And
before
I
I get
bet
You
to the
guys are
internet,
clearly stronger
someone
Redditors than I am.
someone on Reddit, if you posted that picture, to the, like, there's a Photoshop subreddit or something. If you
Mm-hmm.
post that, I guarantee you it will get fixed within like 10 minutes.
Actually, so we need to finish this conversation, but I
Someone
think
would jump in and say,
no, 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 no.
absolutely, I will fix that.
I absolutely, before we wrap, I really want to tell the Reddit photo story that we have for my family, because it's a fantastic story. It needs to be told, but it doesn't need to take up space in this conversation. I'd like to tell it before
Yeah,
we this conversation. Okay.
we'll do it later. You know, and as far as our ruling, I'm actually going to say there's no assholes here.
No assholes here.
I think that everyone is coming from a place of love and caring, and you know, the mom, I hear her pain. You know, she loves her son and doesn't want to hurt him, and at the same time she misses her husband and just yearns for that family picture and doesn't have any. I totally get son's position of, gosh, this reminds me of a painful time. I just can't see anyone here as an asshole.
I totally agree with you. I don't
Yeah.
think anybody's an asshole. I think the son is absolutely voicing his concerns and speaking up for himself. And I think that's what you need to do in a process like this is to advocate for yourself. And I think mom did a really good job of kind of explaining how she came to the place that she's at. She's clearly been impacted by her husband's death and really used that as motivation to connect with her son and move her off of her really stuck spot around his gender identity. And so I do admire mom's willingness to be flexible. She might have come to it slowly,
Yeah.
but I think that is not unusual. And so I agree. No assholes here. Just a tough family spot to be.
So what did the internet say, Michael?
They were almost universally no assholes here. The few that said not the like just straight out not the asshole, strongly recommended the son gets, well, actually the two of them get therapy together, family therapy, to talk about unresolved issues. But yeah, it was really interesting to see how many people came out and identified as trans and said, you know, I'm male to female, I'm female to male, I'm like, and they gave personal information about themselves and told personal stories and said, you know, mom has done all the right things. You know, she's not showcasing images where your birth sex is obvious. You know, she's kept those photos of the family private and not displayed them. She's trying to be respectful that this image is not in a public space, so it's really for her private memory and reflection. She's embraced your new name. Yes, it took her a while to get around to it, but you know, like, it's a small detail. It's, you know, we don't see the image. You know, mom did engage in a couple of the responses for information, and she never once gave the dead name or any additional information. So
yeah, okay. Like,
cool. And we don't even have comments on the comments. I mean, usually we
like,
tear them apart a little bit, but no,
sounds good to me. No,
this is a wonderful response from the internet and the trans community.
Yeah, really glad that folks chimed in and said how they feel, and I'm personally going to go back and Michael, I'm sure you'll send me that. I'd love to read the comments myself because be really interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was a good one. It's yeah, it was just kind of heartfelt, and you know, I could totally feel the mom, you know, kind of
pain,
the grief, right? Like, of if you imagined a hole in your photo album from 3 years old to 16 and not being able to look at those images or display them, it'd just be really hard.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you both again for a riveting conversation. I always enjoy where these go. And as we've talked about, you know, the morality is not shades of gray. It's not just black and white. Sorry.
Oh my gosh. Well, life is certainly strange. You can't make this stuff up. And would you want to?
Yeah, and join us next time we go through another really intriguing discussion here. I hope intriguing. Well, yeah.
It's what I aim for. So
So before we kick off to our bonus conversation, I want to tell you about this
An
photo.
extra
So,
bonus
this is
conversation.
a bonus, blow your mind. So, I don't know if you know this or not, 2020 was a fucked up year.
Fucked up
Just
year.
straight up
Yeah.
fucked up. Every
Fucked up.
time we
Fucked
turned
up.
around, there was something that was fucked up.
Yeah.
And I think probably it popped through maybe on a memory or something like that. I can't quite remember. Um, but we were recently reminded of a photo that we took because something else really fucked up happened in 2020. It was a storm that came through. And typically when a storm comes through, I can go to the front of my house, and if you've got the sun setting, especially in the afternoon in the back, you can get really great rainbows out the front. Love to see a good rainbow. And I went out, and I am not even kidding you. It was the most fucked up triple rainbow I had ever seen, because you had a rainbow arc
And then a
and
rainbow and then a rainbow.
no, a rainbow
Oh.
at the wrong angle.
Oh.
It was a fucked up rainbow. We're like, what the heck? Like, I'm seeing what I see. I took a photo, uploaded it to Reddit. I'm telling you, in 10 minutes, I didn't think about it, didn't strip the location information off the photo. So someone mapped it, recognized that there's a body of water over there that was refracting the light, and that was what was sending the fucked up rainbow. Thank you, Reddit. Oh my gosh, you geolocated me frighteningly quickly and explained the physics of what I was seeing. It was so cool.
If there's nothing else, it's an instructive tale on what you post on the internet and how easy it is to find you. That they were able to geolocate and figure out where the rainbow effect came from. Wow.
They did it very respectfully. They didn't dox us or share the address. They just said, based on this stuff, there's this body of water. And of course, Gail and I were like, oh my God, yes, there is.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have to
But it was totally a science lesson.
It was great. We'll have to post a de-identified maybe version of
I think of that picture needs to go up
the
along with the picture that's in our office.
Yeah.
So please do follow and share Veritas Views, any of the podcast platforms, with your neighbors and friends. And as always, stick around through the credits for the, I guess, bonus now conversation about the random items in the therapist's offices and the stories behind those objects.
You can follow Dr. Dan Kessler at Dr. Dan Kessler and Dr. Gayle MacBride at Dr. G. MacBride. Oh, and you can find them both at veritaspp.com. Credits. Tickling the Ivories, Matthew Reddington. Art, production, and design, bringing this show together with flair and finesse, Michelle Love. Recording and editing, turning chaos into something worth sharing, Michael McBride. Intro, outro, I'm Kelly Buttrick, a VO talent who just happens to be Dr. McBride's cousin. Cats, CJ, Linus, Sadie, and Griffin. Hosting by whomever lost the coin flip. Interruptions by all their children. The content of this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Listening to this podcast does not constitute a therapist-client relationship. If you believe you may be experiencing a mental health issue, please seek the assistance of a qualified mental health professional. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, you can call or text 988 from anywhere in the U.S. to be connected to Crisis Mental Health Services.
Thanks for listening. As promised, here's the bonus conversation.
All right. Dan, can I ask you about something I've seen in your office?
Absolutely. Maybe.
So I can't even tell you how long ago I noticed this show up, but I'm kind of impressed because I think it's one of those stress squeezies, but it's in the shape of a curling stone.
Yeah.
I'm wrong about exactly what that is. A curling stone squeezy?
No,
It's the opposite. It's soft and squishy, but curling stones are not
curling
that.
Stones
They're
are decidedly, it's a 44 pound block of granite. Yes. I went with my curling team, Hank's Boiler Repair, to a curling event. It was a tournament. The U.S. men's, the gold medal winning U.S. men's team were there, and we watched it, and they were giving out little curling stone like stress squeezy things, and I thought that is the coolest thing ever. And it came to my office, and it's just there. And I will say, interestingly, it's been there for about 5 years now. I think one person has gone, is that a curling stone? It just kind of sits there, and I'm sure people go, well, that's an odd.
It's Minnesota. You would think that people
They-
know what a curling stone is when they see it, right? I mean,
we're in Minnesota. They probably just look at it and go, "Oh, curling stone."
curling stone,
You know,
right?
like no big deal. Like
Right. But if you were like North
Carolina,
Carolina, they'd be like, what the hell is that?
yeah. Oh yeah, totally. So there you
I
go.
don't want to completely derail this, but was that the same one where we saw the professional mustache guy?
Yes. Again, the world's largest mustache, and it was like 6 feet across.
No, I mean the guy who had the crazy mustache in the curling center who followed the it wasn't 6 feet, but it was pretty
Okay.
massive. But
Okay, maybe
yeah.
2 or 3 feet. It was a big ass mustache, though.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. And he just followed the curling team around and supported them. And he was like sponsored for his mustache or something like that.
Oh my gosh.
By the way, I'm going to vouch and say that was not made up. That was he's telling the truth. He's telling the truth. So
Yeah.
Oh.
all right,
All right.
cool.
Well, thanks everyone
Nice.
for tuning in. Tune in next week for, as Dan said, another riveting Am I the Asshole debate.
We love hearing from you, so please review us on Apple, Spotify, or, well, wherever you're listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please review, like, and follow. Also, give it a share. This helps us reach more listeners.